is that 82% of all employers have 10 employees or less. And here's the thing, I just want everybody to be honest, okay? How much impact can you have on premiums if 82% of your prospects have 10 employees or less? The reality of it is there's not much premium to affect.
Every employee benefits broker and industry partner dreams of achieving great things. The bad news is that success doesn't come easy. The good news is that you don't have to do it alone. Welcome to the Benefits Sales Pro Show. I am your host, Ryan James Miller, and my goal is to engage industry professionals who have found success and are willing to share it with others. So give us 15 minutes and hear how today's guest has achieved great things so you can too. All right, what up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the show. Here we are back. We are doing everything that we can in short bits of time to empower you to be a better sales professional, whether you are representing an agency or you are in the vendor or partner space. We just want to equip you to do the best job that you can to be successful for yourself and to do a better job of serving your clients. That's why we put this show together. Hopefully it is serving you that way. And if it is, make sure to comment on this episode, on previous episodes. Shoot me a note. I would just love to hear that you are happy with the content, with the guests. I want to make sure that it's valuable to you. And speaking of guests, I have with me today Tom Avery. He is the founder of SignalSync, as well as the founder of Innovative Broker Services. So he spends some time on both sides of the house, we'll call it, in the industry. And so we're going to hear from Tom today and kind of his experience, his perspective on selling. But for the moment, just want to welcome you. So hello, Tom. How are you, bud?
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan, for having me. Great to see you again.
Yeah, you too. You too. Okay, so I'd like to lead off with just more of a question on perspective. And so when I say sales and benefits, what is your perspective on the overall environment of selling in the benefits world today?
You know, overall, it's a zero-sum game. I mean, and I know that I don't think our industry is any different. But remember, there's not that many employers that are really, starting new and things like that. So you always have to remember that most of the time there's an incumbent relationship. And so you really need to be focusing on, I think, their goals to be successful in today's environment, and whatever that really looks like.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important. And I think too often, maybe because there does feel like there's this lack of new that people try and chase down by badgering the competition or by trying to do something completely new and out of the ordinary versus just sitting and listening to what the client actually needs and creating a solution. So no, that's really good. Okay. Absolutely. So this would be an interesting perspective for you or response for you, because again, you're leading an agency, but then also what we would call, or I call, a vendor partner. So you're providing services to other agencies. And so what's one big mistake that you see industry leaders or contributors making that's hindering their ability to be able to generate more revenue?
Yeah, so, I think the biggest thing is don't get caught up in the hype of what you see or read, especially like in social media. I mean, here, I'm going to really apply this to the benefits space more than anything, because if you go out there and you look and you read and you hear and you see what you think is garnering a bunch of attention, it's almost always about how things are broken and how, the rates are this issue. And listen, I get it. They are a major issue. But in health insurance in particular, it's almost never about the rates. And the reason is very simple, right? If you have a loved one that ends up getting cancer, do you want to be worried about whether or not your plan or some fly-by-night, whatever it is, solution is going to pay a claim? Or do you want the peace of mind that, it might be super expensive and you might have a $7,000 annual out-of-pocket maximum or something like that. But man, I mean, most of the people most of the people out there really, I mean, yes, they would like the rates to come down. And obviously that is hugely important, but it's almost never about the rates. So remember, it's almost like the third or fourth, one of my more common things I always say is that the big problem usually isn't the first thing that people say. It's usually the third or fourth thing that people say. So that's my message is like, so everybody will tell you it's the rates, right? Or everybody will tell you on the tech side, it's like, I just need to have the perfect technology solution. Well, those things really, maybe really aren't what the major issues are.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's great because again, to your point, when we're focusing on what we assume the problem to be, even when at first glance or first whiff, we hear this idea of, my insurance is too expensive, or my, whatever. And it's like, okay, yes, but what are you really complaining about? Or what are you really struggling with? Like, what's the root cause of all of this? Or what's the deeper need that you have there?
Absolutely.
So no, that's super wise.
Yeah.
So for you specifically, you've been at this a while. You've been in the industry a long time. I know that you've been in this, it looks like more than 20 years in the industry. And so just tons of experience there. So what do you think is one of the bigger, or maybe if you can recall, the biggest challenge that you've had in the industry as it related to winning, and how were you able to overcome that?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is that you do need to follow a sales track when you're talking to people. You do need to be practiced, and you need to actually routinely, and I mean like, and people are going to scratch their head and they're going to go, no way, no how, that's crazy. And they're also going to say things like, if I actually do what Tom suggests, that I'm going to be like this robot. Okay. But they need to practice and they need to control the sales conversation. Okay. The biggest mistake I made over the years was thinking, well, number one, it was about insurance. It was about the premiums, right? And then the second thing is I didn't assume that I didn't know what most of their problems were. And they've been always primarily around three things in health insurance. Education, like you can't educate the people enough, okay? The second thing was compliance. The third thing was administration of the programs. And so we ended up focusing on what I call non-insurance solutions. So listen, the insurance is always important, but one of my biggest mistakes early on was thinking that insurance was going to win the day, that if I could lower their premiums by 8% and improve their program, that all of a sudden they were going to, just sign away, right? Revenue was just going to come flying in. Listen, you need to have about 4 or 5 reasons to do business with you, and you need to be practiced, or otherwise what happens in the sales process is you start getting distracted, right? And you go off on these little bunny trails and you start focusing on things that really aren't going to win you the deal. And all of a sudden, you go out to your car, by the way, who hasn't done this, or Zoom right now, right? So I guess I'm dating myself because I don't know how many sales calls are happened in the last couple of years, face to face. Yeah. But you go, oh my God, why didn't I? Oh God, I should have said that. Well, why didn't you say that? It's because you were not practiced. Okay, you have to practice, so then it doesn't come across practice. Right? Your mind needs to be settled so it can actively listen and you don't get distracted and you still follow your sales process. Right?
That's so good. I mean, so what I love that you said there, it just validates something that I've been trying to tell salespeople forever. And even when I got into the insurance business or benefits world in 2015, I was hired to lead a sales team. And one of the first things that we did was create a framework and a script for every one of our meetings. We typically had a 3-meeting sales process that we followed. And so I gave them these outlines, and they're like, well, I'm not bringing that into the meeting. I'm like, no, you are bringing that into the meeting.
Or
well, why would I do that? Like, that's going to look so unprofessional. I'm like, look it, if I'm to sit down, and this is how I ended up training them, is if I'm to sit down with the client or the prospect and say, okay, I came with a list of questions that I want to make sure that I ask each and every one of and be as detailed as possible with you. So I'm not paying attention to you. I just want to make sure that we're following along so I can get after everything that you're saying and make sure that I cover everything that I need. And it was fascinating how my younger guys that were inexperienced in the industry would follow that. They would be successful. And unfortunately, the elder folks, by experience, not by age, they would still struggle. Because, but they were struggling because it was like they would lose track. And then, like you said, when we lose track, when we get back into the corner, we end up down the rabbit hole, typically of cost and price and spreadsheeting. And it's just, we're in that cesspool that you've been talking about. And so it's like, I cannot agree more with freaking prepare. If you think you can nail it completely and memorize it, go. But if not, bring the damn thing with you. Like, no one's going to fault you.
Right. Exactly. I mean, listen, and here's the other thing is that 82% of all employers have 10 employees or less. And here's the thing. I just want everybody to be honest. Okay. How much impact can you have on premiums if 82% of your prospects have 10 employees or less? The reality of it is there's not much premium to affect.
Right.
Okay. So listen, you could go up market. You could just sell to 250. I get it, right? But you're fishing in a smaller pond, okay? And you better be very prepared to play in that pond, okay? You better have some experience. You better know what you're doing. You better follow the darn sales process because you're going against people that are experienced, have had track record, all this stuff. They're not going to go down easy. So there's a lot more fish in that smaller pond. And the reality of it is if you go in and sell on price, you also lose on price. So, and remember, there's so many other things we could be doing for clients, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, you hit the nail on the head.
I love the preparation. Okay. Final question for you. So what piece of advice would you give young Tom as he stepped into this industry to help him be more successful more quickly than you were?
It goes back to how I started, especially in the insurance space, it's almost never about price. And if you think it's about price, you're going to lose a lot. And listen, I don't want you to lose. I want you to get going fast. So just remember, you got to get prepared. You have to be prepared with insurance solutions and non-insurance solutions. And if you are, then you'll find yourself a lot more successful because the reality of it is sometimes, the client's goals are not exactly what you think they are. And so you really need to be prepared with 3 or 4 other solutions that you can do to common problems that you're going to face, most employers face, and direct the sales conversation that way. The other thing is like, I think one of the most powerful statements that I've used over the years, and I didn't know this early on, is do you envision yourself doing X, right? Or using X? How is it, do you think that's going to help you reach X goal, right? Now listen, that seems so simple, right? But the thing is that if you say it, okay, if the salesperson says it, it's suspect. If the prospect or the client says it, it's truth. Okay, so you got to get them saying it. Okay, and man, I wish I would have started that 10 years ago prior, right?
Yeah.
Because it would have totally changed the trajectory of myself when I was younger. But listen, the good news is people can, hopefully this will help, the younger folks or some of the older folks, maybe use those things. Because of course, the best ideas are the ones you steal from other people. So steal them. Right?
There ain't nothing new under the sun, Tom. It's been out there forever.
I don't think so.
We just need to listen to it and actually act on it. I think that's the bigger problem that we have.
Act on it. That's another one, right?
That's good. All right. Well, I appreciate, that time again, really short hits. I think, there was this common thread that really ran right through, and it is understanding your client's needs. It is having a process to follow. It's executing that appropriately. And it's really looking for the solution to their problem, not looking to the solution that we want to provide to them or assume that they need. So that's good stuff. Just thank you. Appreciate the time. It's been great. So thank you.
No, thank you, Ryan. All right. Have a great day.
All right, guys, another episode of the show wraps up. As always, questions, concerns, you want to reach out to Tom, you can do that. We'll put his contact information into the show notes. If you need anything from me, you know where to find me. Go to thebenefitssalespro.com. You can download a copy of our sales playbook. And if you have questions about scripts, you're like, what track do I follow? What kind of script do I need? Reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to share some tools with you that will help you to become a better salesperson today. Thanks so much. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much for checking out this episode of the Benefits Sales Pro Show. Please make sure to like this episode, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. I also invite you to check out thebenefitssalespro.com. We have created a digital platform that includes both live and on-demand video trainings, quick tips, and a multitude of branding, prospecting, and selling resources that are downloadable for you today. So visit www.thebenefitssalespro.com and grab a free copy of the High Performance Sales Playbook while you're there.